I would like to discuss with you about the segmented approach is how to work with passive units. Okay, because it's very unlikely that I'm thinking to a treatment where all teeth are moving. Most of the time, even at the beginning of the treatment, you have some teeth that do not require a movement. But for sure, during the treatment, some teeth will have to be considered as reactive units. That is, in some stages of treatment, some teeth will have to behave as a reactive unit and they don't have to be moved. And this is very, very important. So today, I will start with some concepts related to what we call the passive unit consolidation. And then we go on and we will discuss other things about the force system and about the, let's say, the word reference for our vocabulary when we speak about some other concepts like consistency, inconsistency, statically determinate, and so on. But one thing I would like to start discussing with you is how to consolidate the passive units. This is also important when we don't have actually a passive unit, a reactive unit, but we have sometimes two active units, but we want to move these teeth as a group. So if you work with two units, sometimes it's hard to say, well, the posterior unit is the reactive unit because you want to move it as well. And this is a special case we call absolute consistency. You want to move it posterior and anterior unit or right and left, whatever it is. But you are still using a passive wire to consolidate more teeth as a single unit. So sometimes when we do these things that you see here, and then we're going to discuss, and this will be your first exercise, it's a condition that we have to, it's something that I do every single day more than once to bend the passive wire. And you do this very, very often on reactive units, but very often also on active units when you want to move teeth as a group. So for example, if I want to move this, let's say 5 teeth as a single group, I will bend a wire here that is passive, or maybe not passive, but most of the time it will be passive. And this group of teeth, if the wire is very rigid, cannot be deformed. And this means that there cannot be movements of single unit or single dental units that are not dependent on the other. In other words, you cannot move this tooth without removing this tooth as well. And this group of teeth will have a single center of resistance. And you can start thinking with the force systems and with the center rotation to this group of teeth as if it were a single tooth. Okay, so you do this solidarization of the teeth by bending a passive wire. Now, I switch to the book. We are in chapter 5, page 99 for those who are interested. So those images, you can see that later in the book as well. And you see the same image. So when we want to solidarize some teeth, we usually have to use, well, let's say most commonly I would say, a rigid wire that is stainless steel, basically, with an important cross section. So this wire here that you see that I have to draw here, I can draw it here. Give me a second. So this wire here and this wire here has to be stainless steel, and the minimum size you have to use is 17 by 25. Would be better 1925 or even 21 by 25. I would not consider the use of 018 slots, and I'm not recommending it, because the 018 slot was proposed, I'm not sure, but I think in the 50s or 60s, just to have a better control of the dental movement by using wires having a smaller cross section. But nowadays, since we have super elastic wires, this has really no meaning. And on the other hand, if I can put a heavy wire 21 by 25 between these brackets, I'm giving a much better solidarization between these teeth. So my suggestion is to use 22 by 28 slots. And when you need to solidarize the teeth, minimum you start by 17 by 25. It would be better even 1925. Great would be to use 21 by 25. Okay. So as you see here, we have a beginning of the treatment, and these teeth are with a very good occlusion. Okay, so you see there is a great intercuspation between these teeth. And you might imagine that we have to start to move the anterior teeth. Here you see a cantilever which is making an intrusion here. There's another wire, we don't know what it's doing, maybe it's aligning the anterior teeth. But what is important for me at this stage of the treatment, one thing that is very important, that if I have this occlusion, and definitely it can be hardly better than this. I don't know how many cases you finish with this nice intercuspation. So if I have this condition at beginning of the treatment, it's very important that I keep it, and I want to keep it the whole treatment. So that's why I need to solidarize these teeth and have them and consider them as a reactive unit. So I don't want to have a wire that is going to align those teeth here, because 1 month later, 2 months later, you would see that the occlusion is gone. And I don't want to see this. I invite you to check your treatments if you're working with the continuous arch wire and using an alignment night eye wire, to check your occlusion a couple of months after the start of treatment. And you will see that basically most of your cases have a much worse occlusion with the decreased number of occlusal contacts. So as you see, this wire is not straight. There is plenty of bends. You see how many bends we have here? And this is important. And it's the first thing that I am asking you to learn, to make a passive wire, which is not easy if you're not trained to that, if you're not used to that, but is something which is important. If you are interested in keeping this occlusion, you have to solidarize this teeth, and we'll see this later. This is not the only way you can solidarize teeth. For example, here you see another wire which is much smaller. Probably this is a 1725 or even 16 by 22. Once you have done this, well, what I do, if I have a wire which is which has a cross section which is not large enough, I place some Tri-gel on top of everything so that the material gets inside the slot, which is fluid. And so this group of teeth, it's solidarized very well, even using a wire with a small section. The problem with this is that when you want to remove this wire, you have big chances to remove the bracket as well. So it's up to you whether you want to use this system. What you see here is other possibilities. You can do this, or you can ask your lab to prepare this. This was what Professor Melson and the Oru School was calling the iron cross. And we were using this especially when we didn't have teeth on one side. And so the lab was preparing very thick wires here. This could be 1 millimeter, 1.1, 1.2 millimeters that were soldered to bands. So now in this case, we were having this tooth, and this tooth, and this tooth that were very rigidly connected by all the structure here. And you can add to this also some other wires here. And basically, I was having a reactive unit that was consisting of all these teeth plus this, and my active unit was this tooth here. Okay. So this was something that we were using very much before the TATS era. I mean, once the skeletal anchorage was available, I think the need for such solutions has decreased, but sometimes I'm still using this this approach. Oh, you can do a lot of things with the lab. Here is a cast appliance that is things where we're doing fusion now. You have digital labs that can do sinterizations. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities. If you work with the good lab, they can do whatever you want, and the simplest things they can do for you is to create systems to solidarize your teeth. And in cases where this is very important and a very difficult task, this I would say this is a very good solution. And you can ask to your lab to add any kind of auxiliary to this. So here it's not, but you might think that you want to add the tube here or a tube here. You can have hooks, or you can extend this so to have a different part of application of the force, whatever. You can just think and design your system in any way. One good solution to stabilize teeth is to bond the wire directly to the teeth. And one alternative to this is to bond a wire to which you have welded some mesh pad as this one. And the advantage of this is that they have a very good retention, more than just bonding the wire, which is anyway a good solution. And the thickness of this structure is very limited. So in a condition like this one, where you have premolars that are lingually inclined, I mean, if you place a bracket, chances are that your patient is biting on them, unless you are using onlays to raise the bite. But with this system, you can avoid to use this bite raisers. And as I said, you can bond directly the wire, but even better if you can use this system here. Other ways of solidarizing teeth is just using some resins that is created in the lab. Here you have an old pictures, and I had asked my technician to create this resins that are connected by a lingual arch, and within the resins we have embedded some tubes. So in a way, I'm having a very stable posterior connection. Nowadays, I'm doing a lot of Tri-Gel, and when I place a layer of Tri-Gel like this here, I can connect several teeth, and these teeth are immediately rigidly consolidated. And in fact, I didn't even have to place a bracket here, and I could even, I mean, I could even have no bracket on the first premolar. For some reason there was. So yeah, the reason I know it, because I needed to work between those two brackets here. But now this group of teeth is a unit. And the other important thing is that you can use, and it's very, very important, your palatal arch and lingual arches to connect the posterior teeth on the two sides rigidly, and this makes, and this extends your reactive unit to a larger number of teeth. So there are several ways to make a consolidation of the teeth, and as I say, this can be done both for active and reactive units. What we will do is some exercises on, what I would like you to do is some exercises on bending a passive wire. And in a while, I'm going to show you a video about that. And the other thing you will have to do as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow if you have time. I know it's Sunday and maybe you will have better programs than that, is to be able to bend a passive lingual arch or a passive transpalatal arch. We're going to see videos about that as well.